Hello, Abigail here with the Tarotscopes for Leo season, Virgo sun, moon, and rising. All right, my Virgos, the season is intense. We are in the middle of a retrograde for Mercury, which, as you might know, is what rules your sun, moon, or your rising, or any other placements that you have in Virgo. So, this is really a time of reconsideration and reconnecting with our passions and desires. So, a lot of these cards I think are going to feel a bit more inward. It doesn't mean we're not making progress on the surface. It just means that we're having to turn our eyes, um, navel gaze a bit, which is never a bad thing for a Virgo if we do it healthily, says someone who is a Virgo moon and a Virgo rising. So yeah, but let's get into the cards and let's see what they have for you this season. Also, a reminder that I do have the Leo season astrology linked below if you'd like to kind of layer in the astrology on this tarot reading. We have some really impactful moments for sure. All right, starting off, Two of Swords. Choices, choices, choices. Also, when I often get the Two of Swords in a client reading or in a personal reading, it's about a decision that's actively being decided. It's that moment in energy and time when there is a chance for things to be different. I don't really believe in like absolute predestination or like the absolutely that something was going to happen no matter what. I believe that we get moments where we get to make a choice to change things, that there is autonomy within the experience of the human soul. And so during the season, you're going to be in this process of decision making, of either mending this cord or severing it all together. I don't know if you can see it, but there's this strand in the center of the two swords. Some decisions can be a both and, but oftentimes we do have to depart from something in order to exist wholly in a Two of Swords moment, to truly take on the lesson of the Two of Swords. Um, so just know that if you're feeling torn between something, there's going to be some kind of moment within Leo season where you will have to come to terms with that. I do wonder if it isn't around the Mercury Kazemi on the 31st or the new or the full moon. So kind of keep an eye out for those kind of pinnacle moments where you're gonna have to make this decision or dig a little deeper into the energy and shift the sands of time, as it were. Then we have the Son of Pentacles. This is literally also just us continuing a story that we've been doing. And a reminder that the last two Leo seasons, we've also had a Mercury retrograde and a Venus retrograde in 2023. So we are kind of continuing these themes that have been carried across several years. And yeah, it can feel plotting. The Knight of Pentacles is the slowest of all of the knights. There's the desire for speed, and the Knight of Pentacles makes us sit and think and connect with ourselves and our environments and what's going on, especially considering that Mars is in Virgo. It will leave during Leo season, go into Libra, but also the South Node is in Virgo, which requires us to do work, requires us to untangle and consider and sit in discomfort, which is oftentimes the gift of the Knight of Pentacles. Not always our favorite gift, but it is still a gift indeed. So yeah, we have this kind of almost dichotomy of this frenzy of decision that the Two of Swords and like swords tend to bring, and then the Son of Pentacles being like, and we can't just make a decision because we feel like it. We have to take our time, and also making a rushed decision during Mercury retrograde is not always the cleanest option, to say the least. But then we have this really lovely major arcana card, and it's the only major arcana in this spread, and it's the Empress, which I really love for us. There's a real calling to focus on ourselves and our hearts, especially as Leo rules the heart. Listening to the needs of our body and our hearts, and feeding and nurturing and caring for this really intimate space in our souls. Really important for us to kind of center ourselves and ground in and ask ourselves what we need and what we want. Also, in this point of kind of decision making, I think our guide is going to be this Empress moment, this recognition of what we want as a legacy. And it doesn't have to be like a really distinctive, practical, physical one. It can just be like, I want to be known as someone who was abundant or generous or thoughtful or kind or perceptive or powerful, bold. Really getting down and being like, what do I want to be known for? If there's like one word that people are left with when my existence here is over, what is that word for you? You know, is it grace, gentle, rabble rouser, fighter, warrior, trickster? It doesn't have to be something elevated and and sanitized. But what do you want to be known for? And what imprint do you want to leave that leaves people with an impression of who you were and who you are? Um, and also, like, what is the life you want? We've experienced a Venus retrograde, and I find with Venus retrogrades, especially the several months after, there's a lot of clarity around values and desires. Where are you now, considering eclipse season and Venus retrograde and stuff back in Pisces and Aries season? And then we have lovely Four of Cups, which I think really does tie in well with this idea of like, what do we want? Because there is a missing piece. The Four of Cups is this kind of idea of apathy or disconnect or an inability to quite see where things are. I often find it to be a little nudge from spirit, being like, can you listen? We have a message and you're not answering the phone. So I really encourage a connection with spirit, really getting in there and getting quiet, asking questions. I know life can feel so short that we just feel like we have to go, 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 but sometimes we have to stop and pause in order to take in the enormity of something, in order to engage in a full and whole way. I think that's what the Four Cups calls us to, partially. Because we do have a little 10 of Swords on the bottom. Ten of Swords is the card of overwhelm and depletion and pain. And this one I like that is kind of in the rotting carcass of a seabird that's also filled with kind of ocean junk as well. This kind of dysfunction. Where in your life is that happening? Is it all of it? Is it a corner? I do think this little Four of Cups is kind of calling us to be like, hey, it's not working. We have to adjust in order to get this, in order to engage with this, in order to truly be held and cared for. And obviously, this isn't just an isolated journey. You need people to come help along the way. But at the end of the day, you are responsible for getting Empress things and engaging in an Empress way. And I've actually kind of found a pattern, even though I've only done 2 of these, of pulling 2 from the bottom of the deck. There is a Ten of Cups. And it really ties in with our Four of Cups and our Ten of Swords and this kind of story, excuse me, story of progression. And also, I think that oftentimes in life, we can experience these moments simultaneously, which is very, 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 very Two of Swords. So ask yourself, where are my Ten of Cups? What are my Ten of Swords? How can I expand and express this Ten of Cups? And how can I maybe release and relieve this Ten of Swords in order to create a truly balanced ecosystem within my life and my body? And also listen to spirit. It has something to say special. I do wonder, once again, if we're not thinking of maybe the 31st of July. I find that during especially retrograde Cassinis, there's a lot of information that we can gain from that kind of one day where the little windows of the retrograde open and let the sun in. So yeah, ask yourself important questions. I don't know that this is a season of like fast-paced change, and if it is, it's not fast-paced change that is going to be pushed forward by you. A lot of this season is about you sitting with your body and your decisions and your instincts and finding a way to create cohesion and nurture within the cycles and systems that you exist in, which is a very kind of Leo retrograde thing. It's about tending to the heart. All right, my loves, this is my reading for my Virgos and Virgo placements for Leo season. Please like and subscribe. I will have linked the Leo season astrology video below. Also, I post all of the new and full moon astrology videos, and I do a weekly short tarot reading as well as an astrology video of the week. I know, so many things happening. Anyways, please check those out. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in a different space and time.